friends, it's a great pleasure and honor to be with you all at the Aditya Management Institute. Very grateful to Dr. Sunita ji for having invited me here to be a part of your HR Conclave. And it's so wonderful to see that you all have chosen a theme which is about learning from history. And this is something that is very, very dear to my heart. And especially when I saw that one of the first things that was played in the beginning of your session was a small clip on the Ramayana. It really made me feel so happy because I have been writing so much on the Ramayana in the last few years, and I've been speaking so much on the Ramayana. And one of the things that I really speak about is how I consider Ramayana and Mahabharata to be itihas. Itihas means histories, but unfortunately today, when we look at the English language, Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are named in English as mythology, which means it's fiction. It doesn't really give meaning and the right seriousness that is needed for this book. I have developed an entire course on leadership based on the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which I'm teaching in so many management institutes. And people, whoever have been hearing these, whether it's in the IIMs or whether it's in the NMIMS and so many places, the students really feel the depth of connect with it, especially as leaders. I think there is so much to learn. I'm so happy that the HR initiative of the Aditya Management Institute is really looking at a different perspective of what learning can be from history. Having said that, I would like to begin today's session. I have been asked to speak on a topic which is very dear to me, which is known as the magic of friendships. In fact, I have recently written a book called The Magic of Friendships. This book is out, it's available all over the bookstores, and I highly, highly recommend you all to get a copy of this book, because this book is actually having the potential to transform your life and completely change the way you look at relationships. I'm just going to give you a small understanding of what friendship can really be. You might be wondering, why am I speaking on friendship when we are talking about an HR conclave, when we are a part of a whole leadership summit, where there's going to be topics on leadership and so much on management and so many aspects of that. Well, friends, having understood and met so many leaders from across the world, I have traveled extensively and met and spoken at some of the most prestigious corporate events, whether it is Google or Amazon or Samsung in their world headquarters in America. But what I've really found, one topic that really resonates with every single person, whoever I have spoken to, is that success in any walk of life depends on your success in relationships. Whether you want to take the story of Apple, whether you want to take the story of Amazon, whether you take any of the stories that are highly successful stories today, they were originally stories of friendship. If you look at even the Wright brothers inventing the first flying machine, all of them have been originally stories of friendships. And eventually they grew into businesses. Eventually they grew into profitable ventures. Tell me, where would have been these stories if friendships didn't exist? Where would have been these industries if friendships didn't exist? And the way I look at life and the way I look at relationships is going to be very clear to you in the next half an hour, 45 minutes that I'm going to be speaking to you all. I am, first of all, very, very sorry that I had a technical problem with my computer. My computer just crashed the previous night without any warnings, without any previous signs, and therefore I am doing a recording for all of you, and I'm hoping that this is as good as being live with all of you all. And I'm sorry for the technical, which is totally unavoidable. So let me begin by all to the concept of friendship based on one very important and very beautiful quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, a powerful speaker and a trainer, Jim Rohn says that you become an average of 5 people that you are most associated with. Tell me who your 5 people are that you are most associated with, and I'll tell you who you are. You become the average of those 5. Remember, to choose those five very carefully. We do not have choice of our parents. It's not that you have a choice, whom you want to be born to. You don't have most of the times the choice of who your teachers are. You don't have a choice of who your neighbors are. You don't have a choice of many people. In fact, you don't have a choice of who your boss is. You don't have a choice of who your colleagues are. A lot of things in life you don't have choices about. But there is one thing that you do have choices about: choosing the right friends. And that makes all the difference in this world. Unfortunately, today, relationships and friendships are so superficial, and they're all based on such external things. People make friendships for just time pass, entertainment. There is nothing meaningful and deep in these friendships. Just to give you an example, there were three friends sitting on a college katta. I'm sure you know what a college katta is. And these three boys, they were talking about their fathers. And sometimes, youngsters just brag so much. So one boy was telling, my father uh, is an archer. He shoots an arrow, and before the arrow reaches the mark, my father reaches there. He's so fast. The second guy said, so what? My father is a sharpshooter. He shoots, and before the bullet reaches the target, he reaches the target. The third guy, he didn't know what to say. He said, my father is much better than your father's. And they said, how? He said, my father is a government servant. The office closes at 2 o'clock. Sorry, the office closes at 5 o'clock. My father reaches home at 2 o'clock. He's so fast. So a lot of times we look at the quality of friendships we have and the quality of discussions we have among friends. It's pathetic. It's quite superficial. And therefore it is so very important to have the right quality friends who are not just there to entertain you, but they're also there to enlighten you. One of the things that one has to look for in friendships, to have really meaningful friendships, is a particular word which is known as like-mindedness. We should choose friends who are like-minded. Unfortunately, how do we choose our friends? Our colleagues become our friends. Our classmates become our friends. Our neighbors become our friends. Our, the students that we meet during tuition classes, they become our friends. People whom we play with in sports grounds, they become our friends. So essentially, who becomes your friend is people that you hang around with. You do not look whether there is like-mindedness. You just look where there is convenience, when there is availability. The reality is, friendships are at multiple levels. Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. Since we're talking about history and we're talking about knowledge that we can gain from our scriptures, Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. It talks about levels of friendship. And I'm sure, in English, if you just translate it, we hardly have too many words for defining what friendships are or who friends are. But Sanskrit has multiple names of friendships, and it talks about levels of friendships. It begins with the first level, which is known as bandhu. Bandhu, the word bandhu means associates. All of us, we have a lot of bandhus in life. In fact, all our social media friends, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else, all of them are bandhus. Bandhus essentially means associates. Your classmates are not exactly your friends, but they are bandhus. Your work colleagues are bandhus. People you in your neighborhood are all bandhus. The greater the network, so it's not that we should not have bandhus in life. We should have, and in fact, we should have as many as possible. But don't make the mistake of considering bandhus to be friends. Bandhus are first level of friendships. That's not the deepest level. The second level of friendships is known as sakha. Sakha means friend. It's a little deeper than bandhu in the sense that bandhus do not give you time. Bandhus, they approach you when they have some work. And when the work gets done, you don't hear of them. But sakhas are people who are interested in you. Bandhus are not interested in you. They're interested in what you can do for them. Sakhas are a little higher than bandhus because they're interested in you and they want to develop inroads into your heart. Sakhas want to actually develop inroads into your heart. And sakhas are people who are ready to invest time in you. The third level of friendship. So if you can have thousands of bandhus, you may have about 10, 15 or maximum 30, 40 sakhas in your life. Yes, these are people who have invested time in you. You have really spent some quality time together. They know you a little better than bandhus. The third level of friendships is known as Priya Sakhas. Priya Sakhas means best friends. These are people that know you inside out. They know everything about you. They are the people that you spend a lot of valuable time with. They are the people that you love to spend time with. In fact, every time you meet a Priya Sakha and come back, you feel happy. Every time you meet a Priya Sakha and come back, you feel excited, thrilled. Your Sakhas are those people that make you a better version of yourself. Priya Sakhas are those people that become very happy when you succeed in life. They celebrate your success. Priya Sakhas are those people who don't compete with you, but they actually they love you for who you are. Priya Sakhas occupy a very special place in our heart. Each one of us in our entire life, we may have 5 to 10 Priya Sakhas at max. You cannot have hundreds of Priya Sakhas. It's just not possible. And the best part of Priya Sakhas is, even if you don't connect with them for 10 years, 20 years sometimes, and then you pick up phone and call them, the relationship is exactly where it stopped. Absolutely no change. No change in your perception towards them, no change in their perception towards you. That's what specializes a Priya Sakha. But this is not the highest level of friendship. The highest level of friendship is the fourth one, which is known as Suhrit. The word Suhrit is something which is much above best friend. There is no English equivalent to it. The Suhrit is someone, this is the first person you call when you are in big trouble. This is the first person you call when you experience great joy in your life. Suhrits are those people that are wise people in your life. These are mentors. They are people who actually uplift you. They actually multipliers. They add so much into your life. Every human being should have at least one suhrit in life. At least one, if not more. So suhrits are rare. You may in your entire life have maybe one or maybe two suhrits. That's all, not more than that. And therefore, for us to understand what levels of friendship we have. Now that you know these four levels, ask yourself, you may say that I have so many friends. What level? According to the level of friendships, you understand how much is like-mindedness. Like-mindedness is one of the most powerful elements in friendship. Like-mindedness is about thinking similar, having similar priorities, having similar principles in life. To help us understand what is the meaning of this word like-mindedness, I'm going to tell you a story from an ancient book, which is known as the Panchatantra. And I'm sure all of you have heard of Panchatantra. Most people think Panchatantra is for kids. But that's not a fact. It is written for people who need to be. Panchatantra has such amazing wisdom. Let me tell you this story and you'll really understand the wisdom behind the story. I'm sure that you would have heard this story in your childhood. But now when you hear it, you will realize how deep it is. The story is about a monkey that lived on a tree in the middle of a forest. It had the most succulent and tasty berries in the entire forest. And the monkey loved these berries. Every day you'd eat so many of these berries. One day, as the monkey was sitting on his tree and eating berries, he saw below there was a crocodile. A crocodile had walked in from the river and it was just resting below his tree. The monkey felt, it's my guest, and as a guest who has come to my house, it's my duty to give him something. So the monkey dropped some berries into the crocodile's mouth. The crocodile he loved the taste of the berry. He had never tasted anything like this. So the crocodile asked for more. The monkey gave him more, and slowly the crocodile and the monkey began to talk to each other. They really connected wonderfully. And every day the crocodile started coming just to eat berries and talk to the monkey. So very soon they became friends, and they really started connecting with one another. One day, the wife of this crocodile, she asked him, "What do you do? You just don't come home for hours together. And what do you do exactly?" The crocodile said, "I found a friend, this monkey who feeds me berries." The wife, she was not ready to believe this. She thought he had a girlfriend. So, so next day, the crocodile actually got berries for his wife. When she ate those berries, she loved it, but she had a thought. The thought that she had was, she thought, if the berries taste so sweet, surely the monkey who's eating the berries will taste even sweeter. And she thought, the heart of the monkey, which is eating so many berries, must be filled with so much sweetness. So she told her husband, "I want to eat the monkey's heart." The husband was shocked. He said, "He's my friend. How can I get you his heart?" The crocodile's wife said, "I don't know. If you love me, then you should get me the monkey heart." Now the crocodile was really in a dilemma. He didn't know what to do. So he very sadly went to the monkey the next day. The monkey saw him, immediately realized there's a problem, and so the crocodile didn't want to show the monkey that this is what is happening. So he told the monkey, "Every day we meet and we spend time talking to each other. Today, why don't we have a change in life?" The monkey said, "What?" He said, "Why don't we go into the river for a joyride?" He said, "You sit on my back. I'll take you through the river. You can never reach so far, so it'll be fun." The monkey loved the idea, hopped onto the back of the crocodile, and they started moving. So when the crocodile reached right in the middle of the river, he felt, he's my friend ultimately. I know he's going to die soon, but at least it's my duty to tell him the truth. So the crocodile decided to tell the monkey the truth. The crocodile told the monkey the plan. He said, "My wife wants to eat your heart, and therefore I'm taking you there. I'm not taking you on a joyride. This is going to be a final ride of your life." The monkey immediately understood, and he realized he's in big trouble if he doesn't do something. He told the crocodile, "My dear friend, I'm sorry to tell you, I didn't get my heart. I left my heart on the tree." Now the crocodile was really in panic because the wife had specifically said, "I want the monkey's heart." He was sweating in the middle of the river. He didn't know how to deal with his wife. The monkey said, "Don't worry, very simple. We'll just go back." The crocodile said, "Fine, great idea." He went back, reached the shore. The monkey jumped off the crocodile's back, climbed the tree, and from top of the tree, the monkey quotes a Sanskrit shloka, which I'm going to share with you all. He says, "Dadati pratigranati, guhyam akhyati prichati, bhunte bojayate chaiva, shadvida priti lakshanam." It's a brilliant verse in Sanskrit. Let me explain what it means. He says there are 6 ways in which you can actually make deep friendships. There are 6 ways in which. What are these 6 ways? He says, "Dadati pratigranati." These are 2. Dadati pratigranati means giving gifts and accepting gifts. This is the first 2 ways of making good friendships. Dadati pratigranati, guhyam akhyati prichati. The word guhyam means secret or confidential. And guhyam akhyati prichati essentially means that confidence and hearing the other person's heart in confidence. That is one of the most powerful ways of developing friendships. Gifts, revealing your heart, and hearing the other person's heart in confidence. 4. And then he says, Bhumte bhojayate. Bhumte means invite the other person to dine in your house, and bhojayate means going to the other person's house to dine. So these 6 are considered to be which love between friends can be enhanced. It says Shadvida Preeti Lakshanam. So the love between friends can be enhanced if you do these 6 things. The monkey tells this verse and then tells the crocodile, these 6 things are like-minded. And then the monkey told the crocodile, between you and me, we cannot have friendship because we are not like-minded. He said, we cannot do, we have been doing these exchanges, 6 loving exchanges, but it should be done between people who are like-minded. What is the meaning of leaving the heart on the tree? Your heart is where your home is. Your heart is where you feel safe. In a place where you don't feel safe, you don't put your heart there, right? And therefore, going back home is people are like so fed up of being at home, they just want to go out. But on a normal situation, going back home is like the best thing that can happen in the world. Why? Because your heart is there. That's the place where you feel the safest. So between friends, the relationship is really powerful if your heart can be feeling safe there. And that the heart feels safe there only when there is like-mindedness. And that's the whole idea behind very powerful friendships. I'm going to speak a concept about friendship, which is very important for us to understand. Unfortunately, for most people in this world, we do not know, or we do not even understand that it is important to invest time in friendships. So the question is, am I prepared? Yes, I may want to have good friends. But the question is, am I prepared for being a good friend? We prepare for everything in life, right? We prepare for interviews. We prepare to get into schools and colleges, written exams. We prepare for so many things in life. But do we really prepare for getting into friendships? Do we prepare ourselves to become a good friend? Unfortunately, most people today assume that they are already prepared. And that's the biggest problem. The moment you assume that you're already prepared, you actually are not prepared at all, because you have not done enough investment in yourself, preparing yourself to develop relationships. There is something known as a lens principle. So the lens principle says who you are determines what you see in others. Who you are determines what you see. Whatever you see around you, it is actually a reflection of who you are. Let me tell you a story from the Mahabharata that really helps us understand this. The story is about Yudhishthir and Duryodhana. One time, Dronacharya, the guru of the Kauravas and the Pandavas, he calls Duryodhana. And he tells Duryodhana, I want you to go into the kingdom and at least find one person who is better than you. Duryodhana goes around, meets thousands of people, and he comes back and he tells his guru, I'm sorry, I traveled and met hundreds and thousands of people, but I couldn't even find one person who is better than me. Because every person I saw had one fault which I didn't have. And Duryodhana went on to describe all the faults that everyone has. And he concluded by saying that I'm sorry, I couldn't find anybody better than me. Dronacharya called Yudhishthir and told him, can you go out into the kingdom and find at least one person who is worse than you? Yudhishthir went around, met thousands of people, and he came back and he said, I'm sorry, I couldn't even find one person who is worse than me. Because every person I saw had one good quality which I didn't have. So imagine Yudhishthir actually found good in every single person he met. The idea here is that our needs and our expression of our judgment and the way we look at others is simply an expression of our needs and values. What we see in others is actually what exists in ourselves. When we see faults in others constantly, maybe those faults are in us. When we see good in others constantly, maybe that good is in us. Therefore, it is so very important to be wearing the right lenses. If you want to really see others properly, you need to be wearing the lenses that help us see good in others, positive in others. But unfortunately, we wear lenses that are fine tuned to find others' faults, and therefore it is so very important to be able to slightly work on the framework of the way we look at others. And the moment we change our framework on how we look at others, we really and unfortunately, before we begin to look at others, the unfortunate situation is that we have to first look at ourselves, but we never do that. We need a mirror before lens. We all are experts in wearing lenses, but we are not really experts in looking at the mirror properly. What is the meaning of looking at the mirror? The mirror shows you your faults. The mirror shows you good, but it also shows you your faults. Unfortunately, when we look in the mirror, we don't find anything bad in us. We only find good in us. But when we look at others wearing the lens, we only find faults in them. And therefore, we just have to switch. We need to use a mirror to find faults in ourselves. And we need to wear the lens to find good in others. And that's what friendships really become powerful, and it really enhances the quality of our life when um, we really understand this properly. So I would like to leave you all with a very interesting and very simple thought on friendship, which I very often share with people. So I speak A's that enhance relationships. If any human being practices these 4 A's, relationships will enhance. And this is the last thing I'm going to leave you all with. Remember that these 4 A's are simple, common sense things. But I always tell, common sense often is not so common. What are these 4 A's that are the magic tools for enhancing friendships and all kinds of relationships? The first A is known as acceptance. We need to learn to accept people as they are, and rather than expecting them to become as we are. Unfortunately, today, all of us, we are so much filled with expectations that we want to make others a photocopy of ourselves. We want to make others think like us, behave like us, act like us, and we actually want them to become a Xerox copy of ourselves. Acceptance means we accept them with their we accept them for what they are. Human beings should learn from honeybees. If you have seen a honeybee, it goes and sits on one flower and sucks a little nectar, and then goes and sits on the next flower, sucks a little more nectar, then sits on a third flower, sucks a little more nectar. You will never find a honeybee sitting on one flower so much that it absorbs all the honey, all the nectar, and then the flower dies. No. The honeybee is sensitive to the needs, interests, and concerns of the flower. It only absorbs that much that will not really harm the flower in any way. Human beings are like flowers. We need to learn to deal with them sensitively. Unfortunately, today, we have the culture of use and throw. We use a pen, doesn't work fit and get a new pen. We use a computer, it doesn't work for some time, throw it and get a new one. We practically have for everything a concept of use and throw. While it is okay when it comes to things in this world, it is not okay when that mindset applies to people. So we tend to apply the use and throw concept for people also. We use people, they don't work after some time, we throw them out. And they create some problems, we throw them out and get somebody else into our life. And that's unfortunately the reality of today. Acceptance will help us accept people as they are rather than expecting them to become as we are. The second A is known as appreciation. I call appreciation as the magic carpet of relationships. If we learn to appreciate one another, relationships will grow tremendously. Every human being needs to be appreciated. The greatest need of a human heart is a need to be understood and a need to be appreciated. If only every single day we get a little bit of appreciation, life will be totally different. There was a survey done of employees in an organization. Hundreds of employees surveyed, and all of them, so many of them, one of the greatest complaints that they have was I'm doing so much for the organization, but I'm not getting enough appreciation in return. And the interesting thing is, when the employers, where the managers were interviewed, they also said, we're doing so much for the employees, but they're not appreciating us enough. The lack of appreciation. Appreciation has to be done genuinely. There's a difference between flattery and appreciation. Flattery is just lip talk, but appreciation comes from the heart. It's something that you really mean. And when you appreciate someone genuinely, it touches the heart. When you flatter someone, it bloats up the ego at max. So the first A is acceptance, the second A is appreciation, the third A is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement essentially means that we need to acknowledge the presence of people in our lives. Granted, especially when it comes to friends, we tend to take people for granted because we feel that they are there, where are they going? But the reality is, every human being needs to feel. When people are heard, they feel valued. When people are not heard, they feel used. They feel not valued. And therefore, every leader has to learn to acknowledge the presence of people in his life, even if it means a small thing. Acknowledgement actually is an act of sensitivity. Every leader has to learn to acknowledge the presence of people, small or big, in his life. So the first A is acceptance, second A is appreciation, the third A is acknowledgement. If these three A's are not done enough, that means if people don't feel enough accepted, enough acknowledged, and enough appreciated, then a fourth A follows. The fourth A is known as alienation. Alienation means at some point people start feeling that they're living with an alien or they're dealing with an alien. What are aliens? Aliens are people who speak a different language. They understand a different language. They come from a different world. They live in a different world. So a lot of people uh, actually become alienated. That means they feel they don't know the other person at all. Why? Because they don't feel enough accepted, enough acknowledged, enough appreciated. And therefore they feel alienated. They feel disconnected. So many relationships end because of alienation, because of the lack of appreciation, lack of acknowledgement, and lack of acceptance. And therefore, if these four A's are followed, friendships can be really, really powerful. So with this, I would like to end today's session. As I said, everything I spoke is based on this book called The Magic of Friendships. Once again, this is the book. It's available on Amazon and Flipkart and everywhere else. Please do get a copy of this book. It's not about me wanting to sell you the book. The point is that this book can make a difference in people's lives. This book has the power to really transform principles from our Vedic scriptures. It is based on solid foundational principles that every relationship must have. Um, I am so very happy and grateful to be connected with Aditya Institute of Management. I have come there so many times in the past, many years back, and every time I visited the campus and I spoken to the students there, I always felt thrilled and excited. It's an amazing venture that you all are doing, and it's an amazing act of education that is happening there in such a holistic way and such an accommodating way. So I'm so grateful to Aditya Management Institute for having me over for this HR Conclave. And I congratulate all the students and the staff that have organized this HR Conclave so beautifully. I'm especially grateful to Dr. Sunita ji for so kindly inviting me on this platform. And once again, I'm so sorry for not being there live during the session, but having to send a recording like this. But nonetheless, I'm still a part of your session and still a part of your HR Conclave. Thank you very much.